Okay. Do you want to start it?
Well, I mean, you guys already know I talk about Claudia all the time. I'm going to blow her head up here for a second because
Wait,
she
did you
deserves
start the
it.
recording?
Yeah, it's already recording.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Um, so I'm going to blow her head up here for a couple seconds. You guys already know how much I think of her because you hear me talk about her all the time. But I can't stress you guys enough, like, what recruiting looks like. When I think about recruiting, I think about Claudia's team because their growth is just amazing, guys. They have recruited 18. Their team has this month already. I mean, that is amazing, amazing. Claudia, how many do you have in your downline now?
I haven't counted lately, but it's probably about 120 or something.
Oh my gosh. Can you guys even imagine if our team was 120 people? Like, how awesome that would be, not just for me, but for you guys too, because the higher we promote and the more promotions that we have as an organization, the better training that you guys are going to start receiving, not only from me, but from the uplines and from home office as well. So, I think of a promotion as it's not a me thing, it's a us thing. So, um, and I know you, Angela, and Brittany have both kind of, you guys have both told me and reached out, and we've talked about wanting more from your business as far as the next steps go. And, I've challenged you guys all to really, first step is filling up the calendar and getting the bookings on the calendar before you can really kind of think about recruiting, because you got to be in front of people to obviously to recruit people. So you guys have both done that. And, Brittany, I'm proud to say Brittany has got a full calendar for once in April, and I know she's excited about that. So now's the time to really learn how to take those shows and kind of know the words to use and how to reach out to people and share the opportunity. So, I couldn't ask for a better person to help train you guys on that than Claudia. So,
Nothing like peer pressure. Okay, guys. So as I'm gonna go through a couple things on recruiting and building your team, if you have any questions, just shout them out right away. Okay. So because I might do things maybe a little different than Becky does, I don't know. So if there's anything, just ask questions right away. So yes, as Becky said, the first goal to growing your team is your own show schedule. So especially if you're going for directorship, at least 6 to 8 shows. That's definitely a good start. And then just make sure when you have those shows, or even if you just have 2 shows, or even if you just have 4 shows, that you talk to Becky before and after every party, okay? And we're not here to tell you, what you did wrong or what you did right, but just kind of to do a run through, see how things went, how were the sales, how were the recruit leads, how were the bookings, because then we can look at it and analyze what is missing, okay? What are maybe some pointers that we can help you with? And I mean, we still do the same. We still have shows where we're like, okay, what could we have done different? Why didn't we get the results that we wanted? So that's basically a never-ending game. But definitely working on it through every single party is definitely good. So, okay, so let's talk specifically about recruiting. So one of the ways to recruit, the easiest way to do it is at your shows, right? Because you'll be in front of 10, 12 people. So the question I always ask myself, or you should ask yourself, is, or tell yourself, there's a recruiter at every show. No, excuse me. There's a recruit at every show, but is there a recruiter? Okay. So always think about that, because there's always someone in the audience that is looking to, maybe pay off some debt, looking for something fun to do, or wants all the products but can't afford them. It's just a matter of you finding that person and getting them to give you a chance to help them. Okay. So at my shows, I always do a quick opening, and mine is not very long, okay? But something I say, as we get started, I just say, I introduce myself, I share my name, and then I might, I tell them what we're cooking tonight and how things are going to go down. And then I tell them, what theme we're doing. So if, right now I do Mexican this month, this is the Mexican theme. I might plan a couple seats about hosting your own party. So, this is the Mexican, but, we can also do, if you're interested in wine, cheese, and chocolate, we could do a party like that for you. Or if you're interested in Italian, we can do that, or free summer workshop. So, and as a host, you get huge discounts and lots of savings. So as your wish list is getting bigger and bigger throughout this party, definitely consider having your own party, and we can talk about that some more later. And then, so planned a little seed about hosting, and then planned a seed about recruiting. So what I say, I say something like, I know you didn't come here today thinking, hey, I want to be a Pampered Chef consultant, or I'm looking to make extra money, or I'm looking for a job, but I invite you to just kind of watch what I do today and really think about if you could put yourself in my position and do what I do and make some extra money for you and your family. Okay, so just kind of watch what I do, and you can ask me questions about my business at the end of the party. Okay, so the reason you're doing is you're planting these seeds at the beginning of the party. So now as the party's progressing, they're already in their head thinking, oh, I want the Italian theme, or I want the Mexican theme, or you know what, this looks kind of easy. Like, maybe I could do this. So you're just planting those seeds. Okay. Something I also do at the beginning of the party, I tell them I play a ticket game throughout the whole party. So I have a roll of tickets, and I tell them, throughout the whole station style show, or whatever type of show you guys might be doing. One ticket if you have any questions about a product. You get 2 tickets if you have any questions about hosting your own party, and you get 3 tickets if you have any questions about my business. Okay, so
I like that.
They can ask questions throughout the whole show. Now, if they ask me while we're still cooking how much money I make, I tell them, I give them the ticket, but I say, hold on to that question. I'll answer that when we're done cooking. Okay. And I might throw in seeds throughout the whole cooking part, like, oh my God, this knife, you can get that knife for free in your kit, or it comes with your kit. Or look at all these products, like most of these products came in the new consultant kit. I might throw in like little seeds like that. Or if sometimes you have those hosts or guests that, they know everything. They're so excited about the products. They basically sell it for you. And I might just say, look, I could just leave. Like, she's got it. You're hired, I always say things like that, like, I'll hire you. You're good. You're hired. And I just plant little seeds like that. You just have to be fun and, joke about it. So once we're done cooking, I mostly do station style, whatever Becky's taught you to do, or whatever you guys want to do, just play around with it. And then after that, after the show, we sit down, and I go into recruiting again because I have the tickets. So if they maybe haven't asked a lot of questions yet, I make sure that they ask questions. I'm like, okay, so, I have some more tickets to give away. Who's got some more questions about hosting your own party, a Facebook party, a virtual party, bridal registry, fundraiser, or who has any more questions about the business? For example, how much money do I make? How often do I work? How long have I been doing this? And I just give them little pointers. And most of the time, they just start asking questions. Now, sometimes you might have those people that look at you like, I'm not going to ask a question, right? So I might just give them 2 tickets, or I might just say, okay, who wants to know how often I work? And someone's like, oh, me. And then I just give them a ticket. And that's kind of how things start. If no one asks how much money I make, I do the same thing, because that question needs to be answered every time. So I'll be like, oh, Becky, you want to know how much money I make, don't you? And she's like, yeah, of course. So here's what I do. And I don't know, Becky, if you're doing that or not. So I'm just going to pretend like you guys don't. So when they ask me how much money I make, and I can send you the files for that too. I have 4 envelopes. They're bright colored envelopes, and I don't have them here because they're in my show bag. But they're 4 bright colored envelopes with 4 different stories of consultants and a paycheck. Okay, so the story is printed on the outside, and then the paycheck is on the inside. And what I do is I hand out those envelopes as soon as we sit down, and I hand them out purposely to people I want on my team. So the person I really, really, really want on my team gets the biggest paycheck, okay? And then just kind of so on. Someone that I'm like, oh, she might be good. I give them to those people personally.
So you're very selective with it.
I am selective of who gets the envelope.
Absolutely.
So for my envelopes, one envelope, so I say, okay, so I'll tell you a little bit more about how much money real people are making in this business. Okay, so who's got envelope number 1? Can you share what it says on envelope number 1? So it says envelope number 1, and then it's got the story printed on it. So I think envelope number 1 says, Lori's a teacher and she started Pampered Chef to pay for her daycare. Then it might say, share what she made by doing 3 cooking shows and 1 catalog party. Okay, so they open it up, and I think the first check is $600, and they're like, ooh, and I say, okay, so look, she left her house 3 times alongside a full-time job just to pay for daycare. What would you do with an extra $600 a month? Okay. And I have them kind of, pay bills or buy shoes or whatever. And they go in that. And then the same thing for envelope number two. How much is an envelope number two? And then how much is an envelope number three? And then the checks kind of get bigger. Um, and one of the checks is actually just from a virtual consultant. So to show them that they don't even have to do cooking shows if they don't want to. And Becky might come up with her own envelopes with your guys' stories. I just kind of went with what I learned, and one of the paychecks is mine that basically showed them that when I moved here a year ago, my first paycheck was $600, and within 10 months, I had built my business, I worked hard, and now I average about $4,000 a month, which also means that any of you guys can do the same thing if that's what you want and you're willing to put in the time and effort to what it takes.
Can you
Okay.
guys just say this one word with me? Wow. 10 months, guys. 10 months. Literally 10 months. I mean, her husband is in the military. Don't let her fool you. She makes it sound all like, I moved here. No, we're talking a cross-country trip, okay? They were stationed in where, Claudia? South Korea, right? You were in Korea. So it's not like she just moved from like California to like New York. I mean, we're talking cross-country with kiddos and completely having to restart her business from ground one. I mean, just starting over. And then 10 months, that's what happened.
And
I
any
know,
of you guys
Angela, right? Shaking your head. Oh my gosh.
But any of you guys can do that. I'm not special, okay? I just booked some shows and worked very hard on my shows and really, booked my calendar up. And of course, it didn't happen overnight, but a couple months of hard work and consistency and not giving up and just pushing because your why is stronger than what you think. That really helps. So again, any of you guys can do that. I'm not special by all means. So I go through the envelope and, I always say, what would you do? And I have them read the story, which is very important because they are actually listening to what their friends are saying. And when they're reading it, they're in their head thinking, okay, I'm a teacher or I work full time or I have 3 kids and, how can I make this work around them? And most of the time, what happens is after I do the envelopes, all of a sudden the questions start floating in, oh, well, how can I get started? Well, what's the minimum? And when they ask you questions, if you're playing a ticket game at your party and they ask you questions, they don't want to know how often you work or how much time you spend. They're thinking about themselves. So when they ask me, how often do you work? I say, well, I do about 3 to 4 parties a week. But when you decide to give Pampered Chef a try, you can do as many or as little parties as you want. So always that question that comes, always turn it into them. Okay. And always find out, how that could work for them. And do that. And then something I always say too is, I might throw in, might not be for everyone. Okay. This business might not work for everyone, but everyone can definitely give it a try. The kit is a great deal. It's not like you order 20 food shoppers that you now have to sell. Okay. Everything you see tonight, the stuff that I have in my kitchen, you want all the stuff anyways. Why not give it a try? Can you give me 30 days just to give it a try?
Those are great words.
Okay. And then, I tell them about hosting and all that, but we're talking about recruiting today. So then the other important thing is the full service checkout. Okay. So when you sit with them, when they're getting ready to check out with you, I always try and connect with them, especially if they were like super fun or if they loved the product. I always try and find some kind of common ground. Or if they were the virgin at the party, they've never been to a party, right? I'm like, oh my God, did you have fun? Or you seem to love the products. Like, you love Pampered Chef. Did you like this party? Did you have fun? And then I say, so have you ever thought about trying something like this? Have you ever thought about giving Pampered Chef a try? And I see what they say. Okay. Now, some might just be like, oh God, no, never, and some might be like, yeah, I've thought about it, but I'm too busy. Or yeah, I've thought about it, but my house is too small. Or yeah, I've thought about it, but I'm not a cook. Okay. So unless they say no, never, they're just giving you an objection that you need to find out how can you turn it into something that can work for them. Okay. So if they're like, oh, I'm not a cook, I do station style. I don't even cook at the party. So I'm like, did you see me cook today? Can you just tell them what to do? That's what I didn't cook today. So things like that, you just got to find a way, to go over these objections. And they might not come right away, but maybe you can just take notes and then go to Becky and be like, hey, I got these objections. How would you handle them? Okay. If they are on the fence and they're like, yeah, I'm not sure, maybe, I'll think about it. I don't know. Definitely send them home with some information, a little taste of good life. And then I say, well, you know what? While you're on the fence, I mean, you love the products, you're thinking about it. Let's book a party. Let's schedule a party. And then as we get closer to the party, we can decide if you want to make the money or if you want me to make the money. Because at that point, I always try and do that, especially if they're on the fence, because at that point, I now have like a deadline date. Okay. So if they book a party for 2 weeks from now, I have 2 weeks to, see if that's something she wants to do. And then it's like the deadline. Okay, your party's approaching. Do you want me to be the host? Do you want me to be a consultant, or do you want to make the money? But that always helps. And if they don't sign, you still have a party, right?
Absolutely. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win either way. The other thing too is you have to ask everyone, okay? Don't think like, oh my God, she's too young, or she's too old, or she's got too many kids, or she works too much, or just ask them, because you never know what they might be looking for. You never know how much debt they might have, or what bill just showed up in the mail, or how much they hate their job. Or you always have to think about them, okay? When you take yourself out of the equation and just think about how you can help them and how this business can help them, then you're going to see that you're going to start getting recruits. Okay, it's not about, oh, I need to recruit 2 people this month to meet my quota. It's about how many people can you help this month? And just think about maybe how Pampered Chef has helped you so far, even if it's just maybe you got some grocery money or whatever it is. Okay, just kind of think about that. If they are interested in the business, you can sign them right away. Okay, there's no reason to say, okay, well, call me tomorrow and we'll get you all signed up. You can sign them right away. Pull out your tablet. I do. I just sign them at the party. So I say, it's as easy as getting started. It's ordering your kit today. Just write which kit you want on your order form, and then I take their card information. Just make sure you have the 3-letter code that you need to sign them up. And I say, okay, well, you're starting a business, so I need you to write down your social security number. And then I go home, punch it in, and they're signed up. Okay, because sometimes they can get a little, if you give them the tablet and they see all these agreements and all this, stuff, they might be like, oh, I'm not sure, I'll think about it. But if you just make it easy, like just add the kit to your order, and then we'll go from there. Because once that kit is ordered, then you can focus on helping them do, their initial party and stuff like that. But just make it sound easy. It is easy. It is easy. Just buy a kit, see what happens. Worst case, you get to keep the kit. And all the things that you wanted in the first place, and that's it, right?
Right. Exactly.
So that's basically what I do to recruit at my parties. Does anyone have any questions about that?
I'm ready to go have a party right now.
Okay. And then the other thing is so if you have parties on your books, every host is a potential recruit, right?
Absolutely.
So they're already having a party. They're already excited. Why not, right? The thing is, you really have to ask them more than once. So when you do your host coaching and you talk to them, I try and talk to them at least 2 or 3 times before the party. I say, hey, it seems like you're getting a good turnout for your party. People are excited. Have you ever thought about trying Pampered Chef as a business? We can easily turn this into your launch party. So not only would you get all the rewards that you want in the first place, all your free and discounts, but you would be making money from this party right away. What do you think? Okay, and I always have that conversation over the phone, because if you do it via texting or Facebook, they might just be like, oh, no, I'm not interested. Whereas a lot of times what happens on the phone, they're like, oh, no. And then it's like, you wait a second, it's like, I'm just too busy. Or then that objection comes. Okay, so unless they say no, never, you now have an objection to handle. And I asked them several times. Okay, so I'm like, okay, we have your party next week. You have, how many do you have? Did you say you have coming 12 people? Okay, it's probably going to be a $600-700 party, which means you could make about $150. Are you sure you don't want to do this and give it a try? Again, okay, so keep asking them. And then the last time I ask is after the party, because sometimes I don't know my hosts, like maybe they didn't book from a party and they're not really sure what we're doing or what they got themselves into. So a lot of times what happens at the party, it's like that light bulb goes off and I'm like, oh, I could have done this, So as as I'm leaving, I'm gonna be like, okay, here are your sales. You earned this much and that much. Who came or who didn't come that said they were gonna come? Who can we get? Where can we get some more outside orders from to bump you up a level or two? And then I say, okay, so you earned $150 in free, and just so you know, in case you changed your mind and maybe you had fun and you got 2 bookings today, those could be your bookings if you decide to give this business a try. You can take a 50 or 25 to $50 kit credit, and I go into that. Okay, so you have to talk about the kit credit because it's just like a hostess reward. Okay, if you're not telling them about it, you're kind of not giving them the whole deal.
Absolutely. It is one of their host benefits. I think it's the most important but yet forgotten host benefit that there is.
Yeah. And also you might want to be scared to recruit your host because maybe you have 4 shows. So what happens if 2 of these people sign? Now you just have 2 shows, right? So you might be like freaking out. And you're like, well, now I don't have any shows. And you can't think that way. So when you're recruiting, you're really thinking about growing your team and helping others, and it will benefit you in the long run. Okay.
Absolutely.
It will benefit you. You can still attend their parties. You can help them with their launch parties, but it will just benefit you in the long run. So get that out of your head. The quicker, the better. You can always find more parties, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Any questions about recruiting your hosts?
I have a question, but I gotta figure out where I typed it at. Hang on.
She's a note taker, so.
Okay.
Yeah, luckily I'm on mute, or I'd be like. Okay. Okay, so what do? You mentioned the 30-day thing. So do they have 30 days to decide if they want to keep doing it? And then if they do decide they don't want to keep doing it, like, what do you do? How does that work?
So no, it's just something I say. I mean, technically they have 6 months to put in sales, right? If they don't do anything for 6 months, they become, what is it, deactivated or something?
Yeah, inactive.
I guess I can't, inactive. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word right now. So why I just say 30 days is just because I want them to give me 30 days. Okay. They don't have to do this for the rest of their lives, but they can give me 30 days and just try it out. Within those 30 days, I ask that they at least have 1 local launch party, and then that we do a virtual party as well, just to try it out. And after that, you know what? If it's not for them and they're like, Claudia, you know what? I appreciate it, but I just don't see myself doing it. Nothing happens. You don't do anything, okay? You're just like, okay, you are technically active for another 6 months. So if things change, just let me know.
Right.
Okay. But even if they just try it out, and not everyone sticks around. So you might recruit 5 people, but 6 months from now, only 1 of them is still around, and that's okay, because this could be your business. Sometimes things happen, or sometimes things change, and that's okay.
Happens. Yeah.
Life happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, too, I think it's important to let them know if they are in that kind of like iffy situation as far as in the 30 days and they're really not sure that this is, for them. Let them know there's not going to be any hard feelings about it. You're going to remain friends regardless of what happens, because this isn't for everyone. Sometimes you have to try it out to see if it's the right fit or not. And sometimes the apron just doesn't work. So.
And don't you have to wait to sign them up until after you submit the show? Because I wonder, like, how does that work? I mean, what information do you have to get at the party? Because I know you say to make it easy, which I agree with. So I just didn't know, how does that all work out?
So if you recruit a guest at the party, you don't have to wait to submit the party because it's a separate order, right? But if you are recruiting your host and they're using the kit credit, you have to close the party and then they can go in and order the kit. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, and then one more thing. Oh, just put myself twice. Weird. So one more thing I do is with my new consultants. So when you have people that join your team, you want to get them to bring on a buddy right away. Okay, it's going to be more fun if they bring on a friend. They can go to trainings together. They can learn together. At the same time, you or the new consultant feels a little sense of responsibility right away. Okay, so now they're like, oh, well, I have someone on my team. I got to do my part, right? So that really helps. And that can really grow your team really fast. Because if you recruit 3 people and now they recruit 3 people, boom, you have 6 new team members. Okay. And really recruiting shouldn't be a big deal. Okay. You're just letting them try it out. Don't think about like all these things they have to do, and just make it simple. Just make it easy. It's as easy as ordering a kit today. And then let's talk about parties. Also, something I don't do, I don't talk about the kid rebate or whatever the special is, or doing 12.50 in your first 30 days. The less you tell them to get them to join and to give this a try, the better. Because I used to do that. I used to think about myself. I'm like, well, I want them to do 12.50, so I get my trip points and all that stuff. And the faster you get that out of your head, the better, because they don't need to know about 12.50. Maybe they just want to do a show. But once they signed up, then I say, okay, awesome, you signed in March, so here's your bonus. Let's go for your bonus. Okay, because 12.50 can sound scary for a new consultant. We might know it's not scary. We might know we can do that with 1 to 4 parties, but they could never maybe imagine themselves selling that much money.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot. It does. It sounds intimidating, and it sounds like a commitment.
Correct.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're like, oh, I can't do 12.50 now. I'm not doing it. I don't have time for this.
Exactly.
And sometimes they might not do 12.50, but maybe they'll be active every other month and count towards your team sales and your goals that you're going for.
Right.
Right.
That's really good advice. That's something I need to fix myself, because I'm guilty as charged. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that would be my recruiting thing, recruiting at the shows, recruiting your hosts, and getting your new consultants to recruit right away too. And then the other thing is too, while you're maybe out and about or just talking to people that are not at shows, just be intentional. If they're like, oh my God, I wish I could do that, but I can't afford it. Or, oh, we just got this bill, so we can't do that. Just offer them the opportunity.
What do you say to your new consultants when you're trying to encourage them to bring a buddy along, like you said?
So with my new consultants, so once they signed, I do a quick call and I tell them about the 90-day rewards program, right? And I tell them there's 2 ways to make money in this business. So one is by anything you sell, cooking shows, catalog shows, just selling product. And the second way to make money is by growing your team and bringing people on. Okay. So I tell them, they get 100 Pamper Chef dollars for every 12.50 they sell, but they also get 100 Pamper Chef dollars for every person that joins their team. So right away, if you have someone, or if you can think of some people that love to cook or even hate to cook, or maybe you're looking to make some extra money or just love to entertain, I want you to think of these people right away, and you can approach them right away. Okay. You don't need to wait 6 months to grow your team. You can do that right away. So I give them the words and I say, just tell them something like, hey, oh my God, I'm so excited. I just joined Pampered Chef and I thought of you right away because I know how much you love to cook, or I know how much you love the products. Have you ever thought about trying something like Pampered Chef? Would you like to hear more? Okay. And if they are interested in hearing more, then I tell them, you know what, let's meet up for coffee or set up a 3-way Facebook conversation and just say, hey, oh my God, yes, I would love to give you some more information. I kind of just started myself. So can I start a group conversation with Claudia, who got me started? And she can help answer any questions.
And I think, to remind you guys too, that it sounds a little intimidating for a new consultant to already think about growing their team. And so when you do, like Angela, when Tina, signs on and you're kind of encouraging her to start a team, just as a reminder that that's what my job is to train. My job is to help all of you guys and your consultants and your teams as you start to grow them with everything that they need as far as the information side of it goes. So a lot of people are kind of put off or intimidated to begin with, to think, oh my God, I'm a brand new consultant. I have no idea what I'm doing, let alone have somebody join me in this business already. But this is a reminder, you let Tina know, or whoever know, that, that's what our upline is here for, and that's why we do our weekly trainings and those kinds of things.
Right.
Claudia, I have a couple questions.
Okay.
The first one is, when you were talking about giving out the tickets, the first question that they get a ticket for is asking about things that you're using within the show, like some of our products, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Then they get 2 tickets for questions about hosting their own show.
Correct.
What's the third one?
Any questions they have about my business.
Okay. And how many tickets do you get for that?
3.
Okay. And I'm just writing this down. I'm a note taker
Yeah,
too.
that's fine.
I have a Pampered Chef book that I write all my notes in.
Yay, awesome.
Okay, the other one is the 4 bright envelopes with the paychecks and the stories. How can we get a copy of that? Would you be willing to share that?
Yeah, I'll share that with Becky. And then, like I said, you can just use the stories that are on there. My stories on there. Feel free to just print and copy. I don't care. I don't mind. If not, you guys can use one of your checks too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I've always done the envelopes, but mine have always been differently. And I know that this is something newer. Is Tanya Braslowski the one that came out with this new? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've wanted to change myself over to it. I just haven't had the time to. So I've always done the envelopes as far as when they get to that financial question. And believe me, I mean, numbers don't lie. And when people see the actual numbers, but now you add the numbers with hearing the stores of actual consultants, I mean, that's a win-win situation. So yeah, I'll definitely make sure that that gets posted because I'm going to be changing over to myself too.
Okay. Then I'll just tweak your information, Claudia, once I see the example of what you've done.
Yeah.
I just need to see the example and then I'll tweak it.
Yeah, totally. And you can copy. Like I said, that's totally fine. Whatever works for you.
The stories I might copy.
Yeah.
And then the other part, we'll just see what we need to do to make it more personal so they believe in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Any more, Angela, from you?
No, I think that was really good. I would be interested in at some point maybe hearing your process of how you train your team, like when you bring someone on, what your kind of step by step. That would be a different conversation altogether, but just kind of what you do when they start out, like the phone calls you do, or maybe the training that you have for them.
Right.
Yeah, and I can send my
whole
notes
system.
to Becky.
Yeah, I have Claudia's whole system with recruiting
Cool, yeah.
as far as the new consultant process goes.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I'm hoping to hear soon that you guys brought on some new team members. So definitely let me know what you guys tried and what worked for you, and maybe, what results you're getting. Would love to hear that.
Yes, because I want to see like my girls crossing the stage at conference. That would be amazing to see you guys promoting to a director by July and, rocking out some red heels if you're a heel wearer or whatever. But it would be amazing to see you guys, take that step with our company if that's what you, choose to do. So
yeah, and the thing about
Claudia on.
Oh, what?
I said, I know I'll be cheering you on when you get across the corner.
But the thing about going for directorship, it's the same thing. You do need shows. I mean, it is possible to do it with 4 shows, but the more shows, the better. The higher your chances are. And even if it looks like at the 15th of the month that things are not working, or they might not be working out, just keep doing it and just keep working it. Think about why you're doing it and why you're in this business and what your goal is, and just kind of push through it. Okay. I always like to compare it to losing weight. So let's say you're like, okay, in April, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. So maybe you just lost 7, but that doesn't mean you failed. Okay. That just means you're really close. So now you're even closer to your goal. So even if you tell Becky, like, you know what, I have 6 shows in April, let's do this. Let's go for it. And if it doesn't happen, that doesn't mean that you just made less money or something, right? Or you just grew your team. You still grew, and you grew your team, and you grew as a person. And then maybe it happens in May, okay? But just the consistency. And I'm also a firm believer in communicating with your upline and telling them the good and the bad, because we can only help if we know your struggles. Okay. It's not going to all go as planned, and shows cancel and people back out, or you sign people and they don't do what they said they were going to do, and that's totally normal. It's just a matter of keep doing your shows and keep perfecting your shows.
And guys, I can't say enough. I mean, I think that pairing up with somebody in the Pampered Chef world, like me and Claudia, we've been friends. We met on my first trip with Pampered Chef in San Diego. We've just kind of been hooked to the hip since. But last year, me and her did a lot of like bouncing stuff off of each other as far as like, what we did with host coaching, what we're doing at shows that are successful and whatever. And, when you take an idea and you try it out, there's no harm in that. There's no harm in trying something that somebody else is having success with. Even, it may not work for you, and that's fine, but, you're never going to know unless you try those ideas out to see what exactly works for you. But the most important thing is being consistent with it. You can't try something one time and say, oh my gosh, this doesn't work. You have to try it out for at least 30 days, I think, before you can really see results. So like, especially host coaching, you may find yourself, okay, so if I have only 5 or 6 guests at a party, well, guess what you need to work on? It's going to be host coaching, because like I've preached to you guys, your host coaching is where you make all your money at. You pick up your paycheck at the party. It's just plain and simple. That's just how it works. So if you have low show attendance, then host coaching is where you need to put your focus at, because the more people you're going to be in front of, the more recruit leads that you're going to have, because there's just going to be more people. It's a law of numbers. So, just keep trying. Never give up on something just because the first time it doesn't work, because you're going to start to perfect it, and you're going to find yourself in a groove with it. And then, things are going to happen.
Yay.
Yay.
All right. Well, you guys go out, book some shells, and get some recruits and report back.
Well, Claudia, I really appreciate you taking some time for us. I know, we're only the adopted team, but, I know you're extremely busy, and, your growth is just tremendous. I mean, 18 team members already this month. That's just phenomenal. So, I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to have a drink with you in June.
I know. All right, guys. Have fun.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Claudia.
You're welcome. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.